Hello, everyone. My name is Brian of Hessens County, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. Today, I would like to talk to you all a little bit about a new tabletop role playing game that I've recently released called Sageuk Roleplay in Joseon. If any of you are unfamiliar with this game, it is a tabletop role playing game that is designed to adapt the genre of Sageuk, which is South Korean historical dramas. What we're mainly going to be discussing today is the actual character creation process for the Sageuk role playing game. For anyone who is unfamiliar with role playing games in general, or for those of you who are just new to this particular style, the main rule system that governs character creation is based on the Harmony Drive, which was created by Cat of Peach Garden Games and was used for several of their own games as well. Links to their itch page and the specific page for the Harmony Drive sort of standard rule guide are going to be found in links down in the description. Characters in Sageuk are mainly constructed from 6 major pieces. The first of these are approaches. In many role-playing games, the character has ability or attribute scores that indicate how able the characters are in certain physical or mental characteristics like strength or charisma. In Sageuk and other Harmony Drive-based games, we take a different tack. Instead of describing how able a character is, we instead describe how comfortable the character is at certain approaches in problem solving. In Sageuk, these approaches are described as daring, understanding, sensitivity, subtlety, and adaptability. To briefly summarize them, daring is the approach of confrontation. This approach could be used in combat, but it is also used when standing up for what you believe in the face of opposition, or the will to keep acting despite potential consequences. Someone acting using the understanding approach is doing so based on what they already know about the problem. They could be relying on book smarts, hard-earned experience, or a wisdom that goes beyond their years. The sensitivity approach relies on feeling and observing the here and now to inform how the character should proceed. This could be noticing something small out of place, reading the emotions in another person, or creating an artwork that you want to have a certain emotional effect on another character. A character using the subtlety approach is attempting to act in small ways or to avoid notice to their actions. This could be someone trying to be stealthy, but it could also be a person trying to diffuse a social situation or helping another character without drawing attention to their efforts. Finally, the adaptability approach relies on timing and sometimes having to wing it, so to speak. A character with a high adaptability score is probably good when having to act without a plan, having to coordinate with others on the fly, or doing something new without any prior preparation. These approaches are the basic statistics that are used when making a roll in Sageuk, with the number indicating how many 6-sided dice the player gets to roll when using it. Normally, the approach score is between 1 and 3. When making a character, it is best to start with each approach at 1, and then divvy out 5 more points as you see best fits your character. When you're done, you might also want to double check to make sure that the total of all of your approach scores comes out to 10. The next portion that we will discuss, but likely the first element that you will have decided on when making your character, will be their profession. In the base game of Sageuk, there are 10 professions that range from the basic worker, to the artisan, to high-class literati. Besides providing some basic information about your character's likely social class and past experiences, each profession also provides the player with 4 of their 7 skills that they start out proficient in. For example, With the soldier profession, the character is automatically proficient in close combat, tactics, athletics, and then either archery or gunnery. In Sageuk, each character starts the game with 7 skills that they're proficient in. Proficiency means that you have enough knowledge or practice in doing that activity to be considered somewhat of an expert. If you need to make a roll to determine your character's success, using a skill that you're proficient in means that you get to roll an extra die. For example, if my commoner character wants to disguise themselves as a member of a higher social class or of a specific profession, they could use proficiency in the fashion skill to make sure that they look the part, adding an extra die to my subtlety roll. Some skills, like science and performance, also have specialities that can come into play when very specific knowledge is necessary to complete a task, like the muscle memory developed when playing a particular instrument, or the exclusive mastery that a physician would need to succeed in treating a patient with medicine or acupuncture. We mentioned previously that 4 of the 7 skills come from the character's profession. 2 more are chosen by the player to describe their character's backstory or otherwise make them more unique. The last skill that each character has, however, is the survival skill. This skill demonstrates the basic knowledge, habits, and instincts that your character would have developed because of living in a certain environment, but are often not very helpful when living in or being in other areas. You might think of the stereotypical plot line of the prince being unable to function outside of the palace, the country bumpkin getting in trouble when visiting the city, or the city boy not knowing which end of the hoe to use in order to plow the field. A character can get experience in more than one survival speciality, but they can only start off with the one that best reflects the environment that they probably grew up in. Speaking of growing up, the next section we will discuss is your character's background. The background is a reflection of the social and emotional environment that your character spent their childhood and youth in. In the backgrounds, I have attempted to reflect a lot of the usual starts a character in a Sageuk drama may experience. For example, the family pariah is a character who is shunned by their family for some reason, while the close to court background suggests a character that has strong ties to the royal family or other major players in government. The base game starts off with 14 backgrounds, but you're certainly welcome to come up with more if you think of something interesting that has not already been covered. A background will also help build out non-player characters that may exist around yours as well. A character with the apprentice background likely has a master or maybe rivals that they are involved in their craft with. A spirit-touched character has one or more spirits that commonly follow them around, or they may be friends with a monk or a mudang that help their character deal with their supernatural experiences. Finally, the background gives the character an ability that is unique to it. Each background has 2 to choose from by default, but again, I'm sure a creative player or storyteller could always come up with more that may better fit your unique character. As an example of some abilities, the learned background has consultation and shared lexicon. The former allows you to help out another character who is struggling with a role when using a skill that your character is also proficient in. The latter makes it easier for you to communicate with people who are also familiar with the literature and other cultural elements of the day, using things like literary references, metaphors, references to songs, or other things that make your points more clear. Another element that helps make your character more unique is their drives. These are single noun, verb, or adjective words, or potentially a short descriptive phrase that helps describe your character's motivations, their personality, and self-image. Sometimes these are things that they are trying to avoid or change about themselves, things they feel negative about. But more often than not, they are things that your character has embraced and finds fundamental to their identity. When making a role that touches on one of these drives, the player has the option of pushing their character to new heights. Once a season, the player can choose each of their drives once in order to add a drive key to their role. This key basically functions like rolling a 6 on one of your dice, which trumps all other results. While this does not automatically guarantee your success, it does make achieving success much more likely. A second use for drives is to create a narrative advantage for the whole group. This gives each character an extra die on their rolls if they do not already have an advantage for the rest of the scene. While this increases the chances of success for everyone, it is a smaller statistical effect on the individual roll than if you use the drive key. As an example of using a drive, if a character has the drive optimistic and they are attempting to make a rousing speech, then using their drive will bring out their character's passion and sincerity, which would likely greatly impress the audience. This could be used to make the role on the character's speech to try to convince the audience much easier. Or the player could instead choose to give all of the player characters a smaller lingering bonus for the rest of the scene because of their performance. The final piece in making a character in Sageuk is the character's aspiration. If we look closely at the most well-written of Korean dramas, each character has a significant medium to long-term objective that they would like to accomplish during the course of the story. How the character grows and changes depends greatly on how successful they've been in achieving this aspiration. The point of the aspiration in Sageuk is not only to help you build out your backstory and also the personality of your character, but it's also there to help the other players and the storyteller know where you would like your character to go moving forward. In fact, the storytellers are encouraged to build the game's story arcs around your character's aspirations. And the season ends when every character has achieved their aspirations at least once. Finally, it also acts as one of the major character advancement tools in Sageuk. If you manage to achieve your objective during the course of play, then your character gains a milestone at the end of the current story arc. This allows you to upgrade your character's approach scores or even gain a new ability, which is quite more powerful than other forms of upgrading your character in Sageuk. Please don't be scared when picking the aspiration for your character. I know that sometimes it can be hard to decide on where exactly you want your character to go, especially when they're new. However, you can change your character's aspirations at the beginning of your next story arc if you feel that your character isn't really going in the right direction. These are the basic pieces of character creation in Sageuk roleplay in Joseon. I hope you have found these explanations and examples helpful. I can't wait to see what types of stories and characters your group creates, so please feel free to share them with me on social media or in the comments. If you do not already have the game and would like to know more about how it works, you can find more information about it, such as links, in the description below. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more about this game, others that I've made, or if you're interested in video blogs about role-playing games, tools, and other works of fiction and fantasy. I have several currently in the works about Sageuk specifically, as well as plans on creating several Let's Plays on the wide range of solo role-playing games that have come out, and thanks to, well, world events. Thank you very much for watching, and please have a good zone.